Recording in progress.
Welcome, and we will call this meeting of the MUSD School Board to order. Erin, would you like to call the roll?
Student Trustee Kinsland.
Here.
Trustee James.
Present.
Trustee Morton.
Here.
Trustee Schaefer. Trustee Ohm. Trustee Griffin.
Here. All right. Both Michael and Winspirit informed us that they couldn't make it tonight, and apologies to those of you who expected to be in Comshi tonight. We decided that it was a little too risky to send a whole bunch of people who don't usually drive that road out there in the dark and the storm tonight. So, and apologies to Michael in particular, who was hoping to be there, but we will reschedule the Comshi meeting as soon as it makes sense to do so. Okay. We do not have anything to report out of closed session. And I believe that leaves us to 4.3, which is approval of tonight's agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
I second.
Student Trustee Kinsland.
Yes.
Trustee James.
Yes.
Trustee Morton.
Yes.
Trustee Griffin.
Yes. I'm used to waiting longer until I get called on. All right. That brings us to item 5, the public hearing sunshining items to be negotiated between MTA and MUSD. This was, I think, delayed from the prior meeting, and I think we're ready now. Jason?
Yep, so the district is going to sunshine Article 4, which is compensated leaves, Article 7, evaluation procedures, and Article 8, assignments and transfers, in addition to compensation.
Okay, so those are the district items to be sunshined with MTA, and do we have items to be sunshined by MTA as well?
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you, Josh.
Scrambling this one where we had it
Yeah, no problem.
locked up tight in a very secret spot. Okay. So for the MUTA, we are going to sunshine. We'd like to sunshine Article 3, 4, and so are we allowed to do 4? Or is it just the 3? Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Wait, Article 4 or 4?
I have Article 3, 4, 15, and 13.
Well, one of those, I believe, do you have the names of them? One of them is compensation. We're allowed to do, at least according to the contract, compensation plus 3 additional articles. But I believe, if I could find that contract real quick, one of those articles, I believe, is compensation.
It was one of the ones you just
One of
sunshined, I
4.
believe, right? 4? If you have that document that you just read from. Oh, compensated leaves is Article 4.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
So 13 is compensation, so you can just skip that one.
Okay.
Because that's going to happen.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
did
it.
we get all those, Aaron? Yep, all
One
the
more time?
numbers?
Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay. Thanks so much. I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Josh. Appreciate it. Okay, and that will close the public hearing on sunshining. Well, do we have any public comment or comment from the board on the sunshining items? That's the public hearing, item 5.
No.
I see no one raising a hand online either. Okay, then we will close the public hearing on item 5. Item 6 is our consent agenda, which is passed in one motion without discussion. Does anyone want to pull anything from the consent agenda before we vote on it? And any public comment on any public consent agenda item? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. Oh, sorry, we need a motion first. You're right. Good idea.
I move that we consent to the consent agenda.
I second.
Thank you.
Student Trustee Kinsland.
Yes.
Trustee James.
Yes.
Trustee Morton.
Yes.
Trustee Griffin.
Yes. Item 7 is reports. We will start with our student trustee, Knut.
All right, so for this November report, let me get this. So for the first question, it's the question I always ask them. What would you like the MUSD board to know about district issues? And this person says, taking our phones isn't going to fix all the issues our school is facing. This person says, too many students smoke too much weed. And the other comments seem to be joke comments, so I'm not going to read those.
For your eyes only, perhaps.
Yeah. And then I asked a question, which is, in the recent special board meeting, we discussed the selling of MCN to the city of Fort Bragg and decided to move on with sales agreements. Do you have anything to say on this topic? And I provided them the little synopsis of like the summary of it from the past agenda or wherever that was. And this person says, prices cannot increase and dark patterns and manipulative sales tactics cannot be used. It is against the community spirit of the network. The listserv and hosting cannot be discontinued. These goals should be written into agreements, MOUs, if the sale progresses. This person says, good, period, cool, period, sell, period, yes, period. This person says, seems like a good idea. This person says no. And then for the next question, please provide a brief shout out to any member of the staff that helped you this month / you have appreciated. This person says, Sauce, Eastman, Duncan, Stump, and Liz. So, multiple shout outs. Eastman is the best writing feedback person in the world. Stumping it up. Shouting out to Kamala, she the best. Eric, Rain, and Jose. Thank you, Duncan. All right. And then I asked them a little question about sports and what's the update. Oh, no, I guess I did not get any responses from that. Never mind. And yeah, that's all I asked. And yeah, I think that's all. We had A-week meetings. People are excited to be in their A-week trips. And I know that there is some switching around that people are doing if they didn't get the placement they like. And I know that, shout out to Tobin and Marcy, because they're in the office quite often figuring that out and making sure that it's the best fit for everyone. So yeah, I think that's everything.
Great. Thank you, Knut. 7.2, administrative reports. The first is principal.
So Kim is not able to be here due to a family emergency, so we have to pass on that one.
Skip that one for tonight? Okay. Then we'll move on to you, Jason.
All right. I guess I want to first and foremost acknowledge Lisa James. This is most likely her last meeting. So Lisa, thank you for stepping up and serving this this community and this district. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I would say that you're on to bigger and better things, but what could be bigger and better than this?
True.
But anyway, thank you so much
You're
for your
welcome.
time.
Thank you.
And then I guess since this meeting was going to be at COMSHI, and we'll acknowledge COMSHI staff when we get there, but I do want to say that Susan Koscheck stepped in at a very late notice to be our long-term sub for the year and is doing a fantastic job. And Kathy Gagnon has been there many years. She's a rock at COMSHI, and you know, it takes a lot to be I would imagine it takes a lot, because I've never done it, to be a small school, one-room schoolhouse teacher and an aide, and things just run really smoothly out in COMSHI. And also, we were very fortunate this year to have Larry Sheldon hired out there to be the custodian 3 days a week for 2 hours a day, but Larry brings a wealth of maintenance knowledge and experience, so he's taking on some projects out there. He's replacing pretty much every door in COMSHI, or fixing every door in COMSHI. Anyway, very, very glad to have those three out there in COMSHI. And then the storm has been a good storm, and a shout out to the maintenance department. They were up at midnight making sure the generator was still running here, actually 10 o'clock, and then they went back at midnight to make sure the power was still on, because if we don't have our generator going at the K8, we're going to lose thousands and thousands of dollars of food. So we do have a temporary generator there. We have a full replacement generator coming in May, I believe. So anyway, we've been running around. So is Tobin, identifying leaks and fixing leaks and catching leaks, and it's been interesting. So. And I'm really thankful that we haven't had to cancel school yet. That's about it.
Great. Thank you, Jason. We will move on to bargaining units. Josh with MTA. Come on up.
So I have just really quickly, I've been trying to work on the staff spotlights, and so a few of the teachers have been having a hard time filling out the forms. Two of them came up the other day and informed me that they've just got a lot going on. They apologize because it looks so fun, but they're like, I don't know, it would take me 2 months to get through this. So I wanted to present, but it's probably good for this time because people are kind of worn out. And I just wanted to share really quickly for Hannah Grinberg and Beth Renslow, they're our 3/4 team taking on that new combo. Traditionally, we've had 4 or 5 combos, and so my notes on here that it's so difficult on many levels because there's so many dynamics and there's so many unique learners with different needs, and they're putting the work in, and I'm just so proud of them, and it means a lot because the conversation we're having, the things they're going through, and they came up the other day and they were just all smiley about it, and they both shared music that keeps them going and all that stuff. So they're getting through it, and I'm really proud of them, and I appreciate that, as well as all our other MUSD teachers. And I just wanted to announce that Mr. Marshall Brown is our next one of our next special spotlights. So in the next month we'll have a nice portfolio to share with him. So thank you all. Any questions at all for the MUTA? Good to go. And thank you. It was nice meeting you and having you part of it. Yeah. And you as well. The debate for out in the country school was really awesome to listen to. I really appreciate what's going on here. Yeah.
I actually do have a question. So
Sure.
when did the change go to MUTA? Because it was always MTA, and now are you officially MUTA?
Well, that's according to the paperwork that I looked up, because I was saying MTA, but then when I looked up, it says MUTA. Okay. So I've just been doing MUTA or MUTA. Okay. But so I don't know when the change came about, but I couldn't find MTA printed, other than I think on some
contract. It's on the contract.
Is it on the contract? Okay, so maybe we'll go with the MTA.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm fine keeping
I
that
gotta
one.
go with the program if I'm saying it wrong.
I made. I'll do my background check as well. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for that.
Thanks a lot, Josh. Appreciate it. And do we have anyone from CMS on?
No.
All right. Let's move on to board trustee reports. Lisa.
Well, when I moved to Elk, I never imagined I'd be on the school board, but I've enjoyed my time here, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve the community. So thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
I'd also like to thank you for your service. It's been wonderful having you. It really has. And I would also like to thank Josh for doing the staff spotlights. It's just a really good innovation. I really appreciate it.
I would like to triple down on all of those things. Thank you, Lisa. It's been a real pleasure being on the board with you. We really appreciated your insights, your thoughtfulness, the time you spent digging into issues that were new to you when you first joined, and I know how much time that takes to get up to speed on things. I really appreciate your time. Yeah. Other reports from me, let's see here. The soccer season ended well for the high school teams. The boys team lost in their first playoff game, which was unfortunate, but the girls team made it to the championship game and lost a very close, hotly contested 2-1 battle up at the Fort Bragg High School Stadium. It was very exciting. So both soccer teams had a great season. We're done with fall sports, and the volleyball teams did fantastic as well. I can't speak to the exact numbers, but they won their first playoff game here at home, I know, and then went down and lost, I believe, to San Francisco Waldorf, who went on to win their championship division. So really impressive fall sports season, and now we're off and into basketball and winter sports. I coach the middle school girls basketball team, which is really, really fun. We have 24 players in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade this year, which is wonderful. And we have a JV girls high school team for the first time, as well as a varsity high school team. So it's nice to be building that program back up into a program that has both JV and varsity, which is hard to do in a school of our size. But it's great. Something like half of the middle school girls play basketball, I think. It's a very high number, maybe a third, but still. So that's my personal plug. I think that's about it for me. Okay. I think we need to hold on our timed item for now, and we will move into item 9. 9.1 is the construction update, phase 1 and phase 2, and it looks like we have Dawn on Zoom tonight. Hi, Dawn, how are you? I'm sure it'll be there in a moment now. There we go. All right, Don, I
Okay.
think, there you are. We hear you now.
Yeah, takes a moment. Takes a moment. Hope everybody's doing well out in the rain. I'm inland and it's pretty bad over here. I made it as far as Boonville yesterday and it was pretty rough. So hopefully you guys are batting down the hatches over there. So, oh, good, good. Not a lot to report on. Financially, we haven't really moved any. I don't see that finances changing any or much. Austin over in Lathrop's still promising to sit down with me and do the closeout. But I think I have what the finances look like in the report as the summary. So I don't think I need to go through that too much. So I'll move on to the overall project status. As probably some of you are aware, probably the biggest challenge out there is to get rid of the modulars that had been renting. Now they're just sitting there rent free in a place we don't want them to be. I really have to commend Wind Spirit as well as the attorney Lauren for leaning in on this one. It's been really difficult off and on getting Caltrans and CHP and the mover all together. But as some of you might have seen, some of them have moved. The last of them were to be moved tomorrow, but they cannot move any yesterday or today. So they're coming back tomorrow to move 2 of the units away. And I believe there's one more move after that next week to make up for the ones that haven't been moved. So we'll finally have our parking lot back next week sometime. That's been holding up a few things. ADA parking is supposed to reside right where the bathroom was. So once those are cleared, they could resume their final little bit of work of site work, which is ADA parking over there and cleaning up the parking lot, getting rid of the ramps that led into the modulars. The other thing that was held up for a while was the generator, but the generator got delivered a few days ago. In fact, Jason and Winspirit got the opportunity to watch it be put in place. I think they cleared by 2 inches on each side between the hillside and the modulars, but they were able to place the generator in its enclosure, which saved us a conversation of having to have a crane come back out and the expense of that. So fortunately, we're able to drop it where it needs to be. In the meantime, the contractor's been doing a little bit of punch list work and a lot of little fussy door things. There's a few leaks that have popped up that Tobin's made us aware of, and they're addressing. And the HVAC testing and balancing for the gymnasium has been underway and it's just about complete. I think they've got a couple parts for HVAC units that they need to replace or tweak. After that, we'll get the engineers back out here to do the final punch list. And maybe we button this thing up and be done with it here pretty soon. Again, the only thing that's out there have been getting rid of the modulars, and we'll finally clear that next week, hopefully, barring any more rains. I think that's all I really have to say. I mean, that was the topic at hand, was those modulars. I'm wide open for questions, and I look forward to us wrapping up the project here pretty soon.
Have any questions from any board members?
No.
And any questions from anyone else in the public? I don't see anyone with a hand raised. All right. I think you're off the hook here, Don. Thank you so much for your report.
All right. Well, thank you. See you guys soon. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Moving on to phase 3, item 9.2.
Not too much to report here. But Ruben, our construction worker, is finishing up on the back side of the northwest entry of the comm school. He's going to move to the front once the rains stop. And we also signed a contract with Construction to renovate the soccer field, and with Fort Bragg Electric to do a retrofit lighting project in the Performing Arts Center. I did get word that the lights that were ordered were on some kind of back order, so it's going to be a little while before the Performing Arts Center is done, but hopefully we can get it done before we start using it a little later this winter, this spring.
Like it'll be like done somewhere into improv?
Hopefully before
Season?
improv.
Or,
but
okay.
No promises there.
When does improv start, Knut?
After winter break.
It's February, right? Like the show is usually right around Valentine's or
Yeah.
mid-February.
Yeah.
Last week of January, that usually counts on practice.
For,
Okay.
for tech and everything.
It's going to be tight. So I don't really have anything else to report there for phase 3.
Okay.
I'll say. Well, actually, I will say one more thing. Sorry. It's not exactly in phase 3, but it was listed under phase 3. The solar project, the RFP has gone out. We had a site walk scheduled for today, but that's been postponed until the week after the Thanksgiving break. There was a pre-bidders conference. Did you attend that?
I didn't end up being able to, but it
I
was
had a
recorded.
meeting as well. Yeah. So hopefully we get some bids. Things are moving along there as well. And Meg is applying for some hardship money. We might be able to get some hardship money on top of what we're going to get from the state match. So that would be fantastic if we qualify for that. You've been included on the emails, Emily. I just wanted to include you because you were a part of the discussion way back a long time ago. There has been no update as far as when we're going to get our match, though. And we were told November, December. So we're still there, but I won't get nervous yet. But I may at the end of the month.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Moving on to item 9.3. Did anyone have any questions on phase 3 before I move on? Sorry. Okay. On to item 9.3, which is the Mendocino City Community Services District agreement. This is for the water storage project that has been ongoing for a while up at our property on Little Lake Road across from the K8. That involves both digging one or more new wells as well as upgrading and building larger storage tanks to allow us to have better water supply. And it's a joint project that combines 2 grants, one to MUSD to improve our water system, and then one to MCCSD to improve their drought capabilities, their ability to serve their water district, which is in the village of Mendocino during periods of drought, especially when we can't get local water haulers to bring water from local sources like Fort Bragg, which was a problem last summer, I believe, summer before last. Michael and I have both been in some meetings with MCCSD and talking with our consultant, Matt Kennedy, on this. And we have an older MOU about the project that was done before we, sort of the latest and greatest news from the coastal development permit that's ongoing that has required us to sort of amend the project a bit and change its, what we're going to do. So the adoption of the new MOU that's on the agenda tonight is to sort of align the MOU with the current plans for the project, since they're kind of shifting along with the ability to get the coastal development permit signed off and have the Department of Fish and Wildlife be happy with what we're doing there and all of that. Jason, do you want to speak further to it, or was that a decent summary?
Yeah, no, I was prepared to say something, but you said it all.
Sorry. So I reviewed the new MOU and provided my thoughts and comments, and we had a couple rounds go back and forth with MCCSD, but that's sort of the background context for the new MOU. Is it's to enable us to go back to the grant funding agencies with the changes that have been made to the project due to the regulatory hurdles we're facing, and say, okay, here's the newest, latest, and greatest that fits both the current scope of the project and the roles of each party in it, and so we can change what we're using the grant money for to line up with the current project.
So are there significant changes in the MOU?
Not really.
Not really. Just changing in the number of wells, and then The other big thing was just that it's going to be a joint decision in the event of a massive drought that we had a couple years ago, where water wasn't available in Fort Bragg. Is kind of just outlaying in a general overview of that process, but then we still have to do another agreement for, or the application for people to get water during that time. So there wasn't, nothing major was changed though.
Okay.
But like Emily said, it's more aligned with the new project.
So do you think we have to have two motions, one to rescind the,
I think you could,
or can we join them and
I think you could probably just do them all.
to rescind the 2023 MOU and adopt the new MOU?
Yeah.
I so move.
Thank you, Mark. Can I second? Am I allowed to do that? I think so. Right?
A second.
Hmm?
I'll second.
Okay, great. We so rarely only have three of us. Any questions or comments? I think your screen went off again, Erin. I don't know if it's just tired of doing its job. I don't see any hands up or anything in the chat online, so it doesn't look like we have any public comments on this item. That's never good when we've never seen that screen before. Erin, since I can see the Zoom on my computer and we don't have any public comment.
I got it, totally.
Oh, it's coming back. He's gone. I think we can go ahead and do the vote and keep moving, since I've got the Zoom on my computer. This is on item 9.3. We have a motion to rescind.
Student trustee Quinlan,
Yes.
trustee James,
Yes.
trustee Morton,
Yes.
trustee Griffin,
Yes. All right. Okay, on to 9.4, which is the cell phone survey. Jason, you're going to report the findings back. Do you have a presentation on this that you're going to share with us?
I do.
Aha, okay, so that might take a minute to
Yeah.
get pulled up.
I don't know if they all need to see it or just people online. We're all
That's
logged
true.
in,
Do
right?
we all have the meeting on our phone, on our computers?
The agenda?
Or no, actually being in the Zoom.
I don't have it on
Oh, I
here.
don't have the agenda.
I could pass mine over if you want.
But I can join it.
I can look over your shoulder and they can look at my screen so that we can all look together while that's being worked on.
All right, so I'm going to get started on this. I did a survey. I loved Canute's questions that he asked the students, so I modified them a bit. And I did a parent survey and a staff survey for cell phone use at school. So I asked what grades their kids were in, how often do they feel cell phones are a distraction for kids in class, how do you feel about your child's cell phone use, are cell phones a problem at home, what age did they give us their child a smartphone, what age do they plan on giving their kids a smartphone, and then I asked them to also talk about what kind of restrictions would they like to see, or what do they think is appropriate at the K through 8 school and the high school, And then what issues are the biggest barriers to student learning and achievement? And then what has the largest negative influence on your child? So some of these questions don't make a lot of sense unless we kind of filter some of the answers here. So let's see if I can get this going here. Let's see. I want to get rid of my current filters, so how do I do that? Oh yeah, I think we're good. So I instead said, okay, let's look at what the high school parents are saying. So I'm going to skip down here. How often do they think cell phones are a distraction for your child in class? So they said, the vast majority said seldom a distraction or never a distraction. How do you feel about your child's cell phone use? The majority said they would rather use the cell phone less, and about equal said they're either addicted or they were satisfied with the amount of time. Are cell phone problems at home? Cell phones a problem at home? 60% said yes, about 40% said no. Remember, these are high school parents. What age did they give their child the cell phone? It really ranged anywhere between 11 and 14 for the most part. Do they allow their kids to bring cell phones to school? Yes, 90% of them allow their kids to bring cell phones to school. So then I asked about what they thought was appropriate at the K-8 school. And you can see, as with the results, the majority of them like what's currently happening. So 47% said they preferred the current Mendocino K-8 policy, and only 4% said a total ban on cell phones. 19% that they would prefer to see a locker or pouch system. But essentially, what is that? 76%-ish, 77% said that they liked the policy of off and away during classes, but then permitted at lunch, or the current policy. Let's go to the high school. Same thing, that they 65% preferred the current high school policy, which is actually, I think I made a mistake in here. Let's see if I can find it. No, I guess I didn't. Yeah, all right. But only 2% said a total ban. So I think the parents are saying that they like what's happening currently at the school and are asking for a total ban on cell phones. Even the pouch or locker system didn't get much of a vote. Parents, what issues do they see as the biggest barrier to student learning and achievement at MUSD? It was really attendance, mental health, substance use, and then other. And some parents said, hey, how come you didn't give us a chance to write in some comments? And I just wanted to really get a dipsticking of like how they feel. I didn't want to get knee deep in comments, so it's just giving us an idea of what they feel. What do they feel like is the largest negative influence on your kids? Social media, anxiety, or other. So that's what the high school parents said, and I don't know how to get rid of these filters, unfortunately. Let's see. Maybe I can just. Oh man, I have to go back. Let's see if I can get the filters are still there. I don't know how to get rid of those filters. But that gives you a sense of the parents. So I'm going to go to the other survey anyway, the staff survey, because I know that we wanted to see what the staff felt. Okay. So we had 29 staff members answer. How often are cell phones a distraction in class? Seldom or never.
Is this high school or?
This is
K-12?
This is K-12.
TK-12?
Yeah, this is K-12. But let's see, we had 18 TK through 8 staff members and 10 high school. So we can put a filter in after this. Then staff members agreed with parents and that they felt like the current K-8 policy was appropriate for the K through 8 school.
Is this staff members of both schools?
This is both schools, yeah. This is 29 staff members. And then same thing at the high school. So it mirrored what the parents said, that they liked the current high school policy. Let's see, staff members felt like the biggest issue or the biggest barrier to student learning and achievement was attendance. What has the largest negative influence? Social media, anxiety, substance abuse. So if we filter out, let's see if I can figure this out. Filter. So if we just go to the high school, because I know that this was mainly a high school, or at least the parents that were here were mainly high school parents. The answers are the same, that they prefer the current K-8 policy, the current high school policy, and then substance use and attendance, the biggest barrier. Substance use is the largest negative influence on kids, on students. So I just wanted to share this to say that I think that overall that parents and staff members feel like our policy is the preferred policy, and they're not asking for a total ban according to this survey. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'd just like to comment that it's definitely interesting seeing all the substance abuse ones showing up so prevalently.
That's what's been jumping out at me too when we've been looking at this and just hearing anecdotally and in a couple of these surveys. I feel like that tells me attendance and substance use are the things we should be talking about primarily and focused
Go
on,
hand in
and
hand,
maybe trying to learn more about.
Yeah.
And maybe anxiety.
That presentation I was going to do squarely addresses how that all comes together. So maybe I can do that for my December.
That would be great, Tobin. Yeah, Tobin was supposed to have a Tea with Tobin event yesterday that I was looking forward to attending, but the power went out, I think, half an hour before it was supposed to start. Yeah, I think it would be great to do that. And
It'll be a little longer than a normal
yeah.
principal report, but I can do that.
Okay, that would be great.
I mean, really, I think substance abuse historically has always been a major issue
Yeah,
for decades.
yeah, especially at this district.
Different substances, different decades.
I was going to say mostly marijuana or more than
I
that?
think for a while it was alcohol. I can't really cite years or quantities, but it's gone back and forth, I think, some.
I think it's, yeah, all kinds of substances. Would you like to speak
Name
to it
them
at all?
all out on the public meeting.
I'll provide a list and where you can obtain them. No.
On my last meeting.
Any other questions or comments in response to the cell phone survey? Thank you, Jason, for doing that. Really appreciate it. I don't think we see any hands up online either. Okay. Let's move on to item 9.5, the MHS Alternative Education Week trips. So my understanding is that we approve these trips because some of them have adverse risk scenarios, a little riskier than others, things like rock climbing and going to Yosemite and
out-of-state.
And out-of-state
and
trips.
Out-of-country.
Because it's sort of an insurance-related issue for the school district.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every year we have some fantastic alternative education week trips that include dangerous or out-of-state events. There's a Ashland, Oregon Shakespeare trip. There's a Oaxaca food and Spanish language trip. Rock climbing, Yosemite, all kinds of things. So we generally agree to take this to let our kids take these calculated risks as part of our, I think, board oversight of our insurance and risk policies generally. Do I have that right? More or less.
Yeah, I would just like to say how grateful I am to this staff for the incredible amount of work that goes into this AE week. It's just mind-boggling to me.
yeah, it looks like a great list of trips this year and events and activities.
So I move we approve the out-of-state AE week trips, out-of-country, out-of-state, as well as trips that create adverse risk scenarios.
I second.
Great. Any comments or questions before we vote? All right, let's do it.
Student trustee Kinsler.
Yes.
Trustee James.
Yes.
Trustee Morton.
Yes.
Trustee Griffin.
Yes. All right, 9.6, District of Choice Transfer Report. Jason.
All right, so we have to do this every November and report it to the Department of Finance. We had 11 students either graduate or leave the District of Choice program. This past year, we had 2 new students enter the District of Choice program, and we had 9 denied. So these 2, one was, or no, we approved one, but they decided not to come. But these 2 were students who lived here and went to school here for, minimum 3 to 5 years, and then moved to Fort Bragg. And Fort Bragg has always signed off on those. So those 2 students are the 2 that entered the District of Choice program. So not much to report here, except that we're at 35. Actually, we had a new one approved this past week. So we have 36 students coming from Fort Bragg, and 6 of them are students with disabilities that are in the special education program. So, you can read the report. It's I'm hoping to bring back some of our District of Choice to start accepting more students if we have room, and it's not going to affect the budget. I do think that the numbers keep some of our classes viable, and it's a good program. It does bring in money into the district, even though it's not near. It probably costs more, but at the same time, we still need to have numbers. We're at 427 in the district, and 13 years ago when I started, we were at 550. So we have lost quite a few students. I don't see a lot of people moving into our district in the future because of the cost of living. So,
Are there
something to think
Mendocino
about.
students that go to Fort Bragg?
There's about an equal number that go to Fort Bragg.
Oh, an equal number? Okay.
Yeah. And that's gone up over the years.
We used to have many more from Fort Bragg,
Yeah.
and they changed their policy.
Yeah, right now we have a cap of 50 from Fort Bragg. I think this needs approval.
So I tend to agree with you that it would be nice to accept more students. I think it makes our programs that much richer, and allows us to do some things that we might not otherwise be able to do. And just have a diversity of students, fill up classes. But there's always that balancing against us being a basic aid district, and we only get so much, right? So we get a little bit more, but it costs us a lot more than that to teach each student. So. Do you remember off the top of your head how much we get for each student?
It's gone up. I think it's like 3,000, somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000.
Okay. And we're spending something like 15 or 20,000 per student, right? If you sort of take our total.
Yeah.
Though
Well,
a
it
lot of
depends
those
on the rate.
monies are sort of overhead type things that we're going to be spending, a total amount of, no matter how many students are actually here, right? But if you think of things like, from sports teams to, plays or whatever else, when you're looking for people to do things,
Yeah.
clubs, organizations, all kinds of things. It's
I
nice.
remember when I taught at Greenwood School, and we would bring the 4th and 5th graders up for the day, and we'd go into a classroom, and I'd go, oh my God, they can actually have a discussion. There's enough people in the room.
Yeah. So I think my question is, if you think that we should be taking more of them, but we've denied 9 this year, is there something that we need to change? Is
Well,
it
we
just
were
a
just-
perspective? Is it a policy because of our budget cuts that
It was
we've
the
been
budget
holding back?
cuts. Yeah, it was mainly the budget cuts that we were concerned about, having too many kids in a classroom. So we'll have to look at the grade levels and see how if we have room to accept them without adding a teacher.
So we have to approve this?
I think so. I think we usually do.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I move we approve the district of choice transfer report.
My second.
Okay. Any comments before we vote? Seeing none?
Student trustee Kinsland.
Yes.
Trustee James.
Yes.
Trustee Morton.
Yes.
Trustee Griffin.
Yes. All right, 9.7 is the CASP report.
All right, so I'm going to do something a little different than I used to have a big PowerPoint, and I would add the percentages every year, but and add it on, have row after row after row. But I'm just going to do kind of a comparison report this year. All of the information's on the online anyway, so you can look at it. You can find out which of our students, which subcategories of our students, how they did. But so just you can see it up there. Hopefully, I don't know if it's big enough for you. Can I make it bigger?
This is the state testing?
Yeah, state testing report. So we had 82% of our high school students meet or exceed the standard in English language arts. We had 53% of our K through 8 students meet or exceed the standard. We usually do very well in English language arts. And then we don't do as well in math. You can see this next one's math. We had 42% of our high school students meet the standard and 36% at the K-8. Oh, man. All right, so this is a comparison of all of the, or many of our local districts in the county. Let's see. Oh, I can't highlight Mendocino Unified, but Mendocino Unified's right in the middle here. So we had, in English language arts in the district, we had 58% meet the standard. And you can see that is way higher than any other district in Mendocino County.
Why aren't
Willits
and Ukiah on here?
Good question.
That's on the next page.
Oh, it's on the next page?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, that is on the next page.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, so let's go one more page, actually. This one's easier to read anyway. So this is in English language arts. We got 58% meet or exceed the standard, so we're right in the middle there. California was 47%. The only other school in Mendocino County is Redwood Collegiate Academy. I've never even heard of that school. But
It's a charter school in Ukiah, Redwood Valley area.
okay. So just give you a chance to look at how the other districts did. This is ELA.
Boy, we crushed it.
Compared
In the
to-
sense that the only
compared
other
to-
schools that did well are all charter schools,
Right.
which are different than public schools.
Exactly, yeah. And then for math, you can see the scores across the state are way lower in math. We did beat the state by 1 percentage point, but again, we outpaced every single district for math in the county, for public school district, I'll say, other than some charters. So then we had a presenter come and speak with the superintendents recently at a workshop, and he put together some personalized results for each district. So these are districts that he found that were similar to us. So they had a similar enrollment, similar percentage of students receiving special education services, and percentage of low-income students. So again, over here, if you look at the right, out of all of these like school districts, we were the top score for English language arts. We were the third highest score for math. and the second highest score for the science. So, it's easy to look at these scores and just say, man, we have a lot to work on, and we do, right? But comparatively, I think we're doing really well, not only to school districts in the county, but also like school districts across the state that are rural.
And do you have any sense at this point of pre-pandemic versus now? I wonder if you can tell anything.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that might be the
I
one thing
haven't.
that would be nice is, not broken down and sliced and diced the million different ways we've seen in the past, but just
in
over
general.
time, high level, meeting or exceeding over year over year.
The problem is you're looking at different classes, and so it
Yeah.
doesn't really correlate. But
It's complicated because I'm interested in recovery, and I think there's certain things you can't recover from. That there's all this data that says ages 0 to 3 are super critical, and if you miss kindergarten, for example, if kindergarten is on Zoom, as opposed to 5th grade on Zoom, that's a real different thing, I think.
yeah, I can get that for you for the next board meeting. Just a snapshot, real quick, of like where we were for the. 18,
And maybe
19,
even
20.
a cohort snapshot or two of a couple of grades.
Yeah,
coming,
cohort
that
would be
span,
great.
a couple of grades that really span the
All right,
pandemic.
Let's put that on for December, because I can do that pretty easily. I have it all.
That'd be great. Any other comments or questions or follow-ups for Jason?
I would just like to brag that the high school English was 80% proficient.
That is quite impressive. Just to repeat what Tobin just said, the high school English was 80% meeting or exceeding standards?
82, I think.
82, right? Yeah, that was for the high school.
Yep.
Yeah. It's very good. Okay. Let's move on to item 9.8. Consideration and approval of Resolution 2024-20 regarding the California State Seal of Civic Engagement. And we had Pamela Duncan, our history and civics teacher, come by and talk to us about this last regular board meeting and propose this. I think everyone was in favor of it. I've already heard from some kids who have started work on some projects in the hope that this would get approved. It sounds like, Knut, I don't know if you can speak to it a little bit. You're a senior, so you're probably thinking about it. Is this something students are excited about?
Yeah, I already actually completed mine, and that was the debate, actually.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah,
Great.
yeah, that was fun, and good project. I know that people are excited for it, excited to have something on their diploma, and yeah. So,
That was you managed that debate really well.
Yeah, I agree.
thanks.
I agree. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we have a student who's going to present to us at the December meeting about sustainability and environmental issues here in the school district and what we might be able to do about that. So that's something to look forward to. So, yeah.
I move we approve Resolution 2024-20.
A second.
All right. Any comments or questions before we vote? Seeing none, we will vote.
Student trustee Kinsland?
Yes.
Trustee James?
Yes.
Trustee Morton?
Yes.
Trustee Griffin?
Yes. All right. And, I know we have the timed item. Do we have to sit around for 6 minutes, or can we go ahead and do that now, you think?
I think we could probably do it now.
Okay.
I don't see that many people joining the
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay, so we are going to go back to our timed item, which is, looking for it here, item 8. This is parent and community comment. If there's anyone here, either in person or on Zoom, who has anything they would like to comment on an item that is not on tonight's agenda. Anything we did not cover, it's not an item for public discussion already. Does anyone have anything they'd like to address? I don't see anyone in the room. I'm not seeing any hands go up online, so I think we're good. All right, future agenda items. It looks like you'll come back to us with some additional CASP charts, perhaps, numbers. The organizational meeting is in December, so that's where I think I get to hand my gavel over to the next person, which I think is probably Winston. Spirit as the current clerk. And we do committee membership and all that. First interim budget will be, that's also December.
Yep.
Developer fee accounting, school single plans. Anyone have anything they want to?
Just note that that meeting's on a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's December 17th we moved it to, so it wouldn't be right at the end of break, or right before break.
Oh,
And-
Aaron needs to say something.
I just wanted to remind the public and anyone out there that the applications for the Elk Board seat are due by 9 a.m. on November 29th at the district office.
Thank you very much. So if you would like to apply for the open Elk Board seat, please apply by 9 a.m. on November 29th. That's the Friday after Thanksgiving. So just do it before then.
And
Get it in.
And no one will be there.
I will be there.
Oh, you'll be there. Oh,
I'll be there at 9 a.m.
wow. All right.
To accept them all.
Just to accept them. And
Wow.
I'm
So if you
leaving,
want to
so
see.
by 9:05.
Shout out to Aaron.
Or it can be mailed or emailed as well.
Yes.
Thank you, Erin, for that. And yes, our next regularly scheduled board meeting is December 17th. That's the Tuesday of the last week of school before break, right here at Mendocino High School. All right, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you again, Lisa.